Video, I will give you my opinion on what has been happening at NAR and my thoughts on what should change in the future. For the last couple of months, I've made this request. If there's any business training, content, current event, or news, so thank you, Lori Harrell from Redmond, Washington. You've submitted the first ever question on this channel. Now, I was thinking it would be a specific sales or training subject, but hey, we'll give an opinion on whatever you want. She asks, what is your take on the events happening at the National Association of Realtors? Well, there are two massive issues at NAR. One is in the present and one is in the future. Let me start with the present and say that there are circumstances like this that are always subjective in nature. So I recommend using a method that has two lenses. Is it a benefit or a distraction? Meaning, does it bring you closer or further away from your goals and what you want to achieve in life? And how would the public perceive this information? And does that viewpoint help or infringe upon your status, reputation, or overall success? Now, here's the context to Lori's question. The New York Times wrote an article saying NAR, the National Association of Realtors, ignored numerous sexual harassment complaints against its president, according to over 24 women. So, in regards to this recent issue at NAR, I remember a great mentor I had in my early career. He told me, any issue between two people is like standing on the side of a large green pasture. There's a white fence on both sides. One fence represents one person's perspective. The opposite fence represents the other person's perspective. Now, the truth is somewhere in between those two fences. And a great manager's duty is to formulate where in the middle of the pasture the truth lies. He said, most times you will never know exactly, however, it will be closer to one side or the other. In this situation with the NAR, I don't think any of us will ever know exactly where the middle of the pasture is. However, we can look at the situation as a whole and see that there was a pattern. And by definition, a pattern is a repeated action. If something happens once or twice, it may be a misunderstanding. Yet when 16 formal allegations are made, no matter who it is, as a leader in any organization, I would be inclined to classify that as a pattern. The first step to empowering change is to acknowledge that there is a problem. So in my opinion, the video that Tracy Casper put out was a step in the right direction. Anyway, let's go back to the lenses. Is all this a benefit or a distraction to you? Meaning, does it bring you closer or further away from your goals? That's your question to answer. Does what's happening at NAR, whether you agree with it or not, affect what you want to accomplish in selling real estate? I feel the answer is it really makes no difference to your goals or what you can accomplish. Now, on an ideological level, does it bother you? Of course it does, because it's one more thing to think about when you pay your NAR dues every year. There might be a little voice in your head saying, I hope this goes to more than settling lawsuits and buying cocktails at dinner functions. Lens number 2, how would the public perceive this information? And does that viewpoint help or infringe upon your status, reputation, or success? Well, for an industry that already struggles with an unattractive image of agents, it was definitely bad PR. The national news and now the publicity surrounding it, no matter what the circumstances have entailed, has affected the reputation of over 1.5 million members who are out there every day working hard and trying to make a better life for themselves. Now, I have hope Tracy Casper will increase transparency within NAR for the sake of its members. Because no matter what the nonprofit organization is, those who belong to it deserve accountability. They should know how the dues are being used and be made aware of lawsuits and NDA settlements to past employees. Now, I share the pain of many of you on this one. I was a dues-paying member of NAR for 22 years. I took my mandatory ethics training and had the code of ethics printed off for every new agent onboarding. So yes, it does not feel good to think there might have been a double standard at the highest levels of leadership. I know when I owned brokerages affiliated with NAR and state associations, I was required to abide by multiple rules and ethics. And in my experience, this was many times a zero-tolerance environment. And that's the issue that hurts with this. Why was NAR leadership supposedly operating under different rules and ethics? As a disclosure, I don't enjoy talking about this subject. I'd much rather be talking about how to have a powerful client conversation, or how to make a great first impression, or the exact words to motivate clients. It's not fair that any organization suffer because of the behavior or negligence of only a few people. My take on this, and this is my opinion, I don't like seeing an institution that should be promoting professionalism and integrity at the highest levels, instead being publicly perceived in a archaic 1980s used car lot stereotype. What's also causing some hurt is when an agenda is promoted and then those who are responsible for promoting it fall short for whatever reason, the embarrassment is all the greater. This is one reason why I recommend to avoid statements like this, such as ethical, trustworthy, high integrity, or I follow a code of ethics. And the attention around this issue is unfortunate because it's the exact opposite of the glossy magazine ads and YouTube videos the public sees promoting "this is who we are." In conclusion, let's push to learn all the details. Let's support those leaders who will bring transparency and who support the good things NAR does for the industry. Let's push for open communication and disclosure and increased accountability on what happens with the members' hard-earned money. For those who know me and what I believe, there are larger threats to the NAR that are lurking in the foreseeable shadows. The DOJ and FTC investigation and the highly publicized lawsuits are going to force organized real estate to transform from its current state. There are those who believe the NAR and its subordinate associations should not control MLSs. They feel that this is the definition of a monopoly and that it makes the NAR too powerful, in that they can play favorites with vendors and that their finances are unaffected by the success or failure of the members. The forced partnership between NAR and your local association would possibly fit the legal definition of a monopoly. That is, until there's a viable alternative. For example, if there was a way you could put your listings directly on Zillow, Homes.com, or Realtor.com without being a member of the NAR. For anyone who has stayed to the end here, let me say this: stay focused on your goals. Stay focused on improving your skills. Don't let this become a distraction or a burden. Keep marketing, improving your communication abilities, and providing premium service to your clients. Know that all this will have zero effect on your overall success, one direction or the other. So, you've heard my opinion. Let me ask, what do you think about what's happening at NAR? Lori, thanks for reaching out. And again, if there's any business training, content, current event, or news you'd like an opinion on, send it with your question via email.